So here's a wild question for you, Ralph. Can a nation truly claim to be free and independent if it doesn't have a nuclear arsenal? And before you say, of course, let's think about Ukraine and the storm it's weathering right now.
Echo, you've definitely got my attention. What we're really delving into is whether conventional military strength alone can deter a power like Russia, especially when nuclear threats loom larger than life.
Exactly, and this article captures the core predicament. Ukraine's sitting there, facing down a nuclear-backed Russia without the atomic backup. It's a bit like going into a heavyweight boxing match armed only with a feather, isn't it?
In historical terms, it's fascinating. In many ways, deterrence theory itself is under scrutiny here. Does a nation need the might of nuclear weapons to stand on equal footing, or can alliances and conventional forces suffice?
And then there's Trump's rather whimsical diplomatic dance with Putin, supposedly marking a shift from America's role as the global cop. But isn't this just emboldening rerun aggressions?
Indeed, and it's interesting how this approach is sparking different responses across Europe. We see nations considering beefing up their defenses, possibly even contemplating their own nuclear strategies, which raises questions about a potential new arms race.
And then we veer into potentially scary territory with more nations acquiring nuclear weapons. It's the age-old dilemma: peace through strength or peace through proliferation.
Imagine the strategic nightmare of nuclear proliferation across Europe and Asia. The regional dynamics would shift drastically. History has taught us that the balance of power gets even more precarious when nuclear weapons enter the equation.
True, but isn't it also about perceived weakness? If America appears to retreat, does that create a sort of domino effect, with more countries feeling the urgent need to secure their independence by any means necessary?
It's precisely this perceived volatility that could provoke defensive nationalism. Historically, whenever a major power like the U.S. scales back its influence without a solid strategy,